Welcome to Daily Movie Recaps. My name is Rocky, and today we are watching a 2013 thriller crime movie titled Now You See Me. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Alright then. While performing their regular tricks, four street magicians, Daniel Atlas, Henley Reeves, Merritt McKinney, and Jack Wilder received tarot cards from a stranger. By following the address on the cards, they all end up in front of an apartment in New York City, where Henley reveals she used to be Daniel's assistant in the early days of his career. They all wait in front of the door, and Jack unlocks it and lets them inside. Upon entering the apartment, they see a hologram with instructions about a show. 1 year later, the entire group, now known as the Four Horsemen, performed at a show called MGM Las Vegas. For their final trick, they tell everyone that they're going to rob a bank, and thank insurance giant Arthur Tressler for sponsoring the show and allowing them to perform at this stage. For the act, they call a member of the audience on stage and ask about his bank, which he reveals to be a Credit Republican bank in Paris. They tell everyone about the teleport helmet they used to send the guy to his own bank's vault and steal 3.2 million euros through the air duct that directly teleports the money from Paris to Las Vegas. After the show, police immediately arrested them and began the investigation. For the investigation, Interpol sends its French agent Al Matter, who collaborates with FBI agent Dylan Rhodes. They also question the guy who went from Vegas to Paris, but he does not remember anything as he was hypnotized. All four were investigated, but there was no evidence to prove them guilty of bank robbery, so they are released from custody. Rhodes' assistant tells him about Faddis Bradley, a former magician, but now runs a show that debunks magic tricks. In their meeting with him, Bradley reveals he left the profession because people lost interest in it. He debunks the trick and says they changed the audience's chosen numbers with their own. They did not steal the money from the bank but from the transporting truck and replaced it with duplicate currency notes made of flashcards that later disappeared from the vault and left no residue. They also had complete information about the guy and manipulated him to go to Vegas. During the discussion, another magician lion strike comes up, and Bradley discloses he was the first one he exposed during his show that made him lose his career and money. To relaunch his career, he attempted a trick but lost his life after not being able to get out of the escape safe. The Four Horsemen fly with Mr. Tressler to their next destination, New Orleans. In the plane, Merritt teases Henley about having feelings for Daniel, but she tells him he was never interested in her. Next, he tries to implement Merritt's mind control techniques on Tesla, saying he can also work like him, but they tell him none of his guesses is correct. Alma and Rhodes also arrive in New Orleans to attend their show. As part of the investigation, she tells him they are very clever with their techniques, and they must think like them if they want to prove them guilty. Rhodes is told each one of the magicians wears special tracking devices that they can use to find their location. Before the show, Mr. Tressler meets Bradley offering a deal of $3.5 million cash if he does not expose them. As Bradley refuses the offer, Tressler threatens to ruin his career, but he does not pay attention and asks him to leave. Then, the show begins, and the magicians ask different people to tell how much money they have in their accounts, and Mr. Tesla is also asked to share his digit soon. The money starts to transfer from Tressler's account to selective audience members. Neil reveals these are the people whose insurance claims were denied by Tressler after Hurricane Katrina. Tressler feels devastated and tries to chase them but finds himself tied to a chain. The audience starts scolding him while the magicians leave the show. Dree and Rhodes start chasing them but lose track due to an ongoing rally. Finally, Dree manages to track Daniel down but does not shoot him after seeing him unarmed. Meanwhile, Rhodes keeps on tracking the device but soon finds out they have placed them in his pocket, and he is blindly tracking himself. Frustrated by his failure, Rhodes gets drunk and accuses Dree of being one of them because she did not shoot Daniel. She drops a book while talking to him, revealing some notes about the eye. Rhodes asks about it, but she leaves without saying anything to him. Enraged by his loss, Tressler invites Bradley and offers a huge chunk of money, asking him to expose the Four Horsemen. Back in their apartment, Rhodes finds a book titled The Guardians of the Eye. He asks her about the book the following day, and she tells him that she thinks the horsemen belong to the Eye, the protectors of the magic. They are a group of people who believe they have access to real magic and steal from the rich to give it to the poor. Their discussion is interrupted as Rhodes' phone stops working. Soon, they find out the magicians have replaced his phone with their own and are now using it to stay ahead of their investigation. Upon seeing the tape from the FBI office, Rhodes finds out that Daniel took his phone during the investigation. He suggests keeping the tracker inside so they don't know that they have found it. Meanwhile, they track Rod's real phone that leads them to an apartment in New York. In the apartment, as the Four Horsemen collect their stuff, they discuss their unknown benefactor, who they have never met. They start getting confused about him, but Daniel orders everyone to stick to the plan and finish what they have begun. The police arrive at the building, and Daniel alarms the group about them. They get outside the building while Bradley watches over them and informs them about it. police raid the apartment and find Jack still burning some of the documents. Jack fights back and uses Rhodes' wireless to distract the backup. Jack comes outside the building and steals a car from the FBI to escape while Dree and Rhodes start chasing him. As he arrives at the bridge, Jack's car crashes to the bow and gets on fire. Rhodes tries to save him, but the car explodes. Agent Rhodes receives a call from Bradley, who warns him about Dree, saying she appeared from nowhere and asked to work with Rhodes on her first ever project. He says it can all be a part of the magician's plan to distract him. Rhodes Sr. joins the case and informs him that they have found a clue that the magicians are planning their next crime to steal money from Elkhorn's company safe. They arrive at the warehouse, but there is not any safe there. Upon inquiry, they find out the safe has just been moved from there, and the truck is just leaving. They follow the truck and eventually manage to stop it. The officer suggests letting it go because they can catch the magicians by following it. While discussing the situation, they are informed about a YouTube video where the horsemen talk about their next show in New York City. They are informed that a woman is heading toward the safe Rhodes. He immediately catches her but finds out she is with Bradley. Rhodes thinks Bradley is the fifth horseman, but he says he is just following them like everyone else. Bradley again thinks the safe is just another distraction and asks Rhodes to open it. Although Rhodes does not believe it, he turns out to be correct, as they find balloon toys inside the safe and nothing else. Upon seeing this, Bradley says they misled them again and them to chase the safe as they wanted. Soon, the final show begins at 5 points. The Art Center in New York City. The officer spots the magicians on the rooftop of one of the buildings and orders to chase them. But Dree does not let Rhodes go, saying it's another distraction. The team reaches the roof but finds out it's just some dummies and not the magicians. Dree takes Rhodes with her, and they find the place the horsemen used to record the show. They are again seen on the rooftop, but the police cannot catch them as they keep on changing places. They tell the audience that it's their last show and say goodbye to everyone before jumping off the building while distracting the audience by showering money. Rhodes tells Dree that she was right about the act as it's bigger than anything else. He kisses her, but she walks away. As the case is ended, Rhodes found out the money they threw on the crowd was fake. The original currency notes are found in Bradley's car, and he gets arrested. Rhodes visits Bradley in jail, but he says he was fabricated and is not involved in stealing money. Although Rhodes believes him, the evidence suggests against it. Upon Rhodes' question, Bradley debunks the trick, saying they used a giant mirror to hide the safe from them, pretending it was gone. When the police started chasing the safe, one of the group members, Jack, appeared, broke the mirror, and stole the money. Rhodes cannot believe it, as he sees Jack dying in front of his eyes. Bradley tells him they used a duplicate car to fake his death. Rhodes says the legend is that the eye is everywhere looking for magicians who want to distinguish themselves from the ones. He says Bradley wanted to be a part of the eye but could not get in. It made him vengeful, and he started debunking magic, and that's why they framed him. But Bradley tells him the eye is not real. So Bradley thinks about the trick again, saying it is someone who is always ahead of him, someone who had access to the warehouse and was ready to sacrifice anything to get his purpose. Suddenly he realizes it's Rhodes who's the mastermind behind it. Rhodes tells him that he wants him to spend the rest of his life in jail. Meanwhile, the horseman arrives in front of an old tree in Hyde Park and finds the symbol of the eye on it. They use their tat cards to open it, and Rhodes welcomes them inside. Dree sits alone on the Pint des Arts bridge in Paris when Rhodes arrives there to meet her. He tells her the secret that he is Lionel Strike's son, and he planned these events to take his father's revenge. All these tricks were interconnected as Bradley was the one who debunked his father's magic and destroyed his career. Tressler Company denied their insurance claims, and Elkin Company's substandard safe got stuck and made his father lose his life. He asks her to keep his secret while they lock to the bridge and throw the key into the river. The horseman drives to a desert junkyard and finds a set of locked crates with a symbol of the eye. The end. I hope you like the movie. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.